Hey, what's up guys? UrAvgWarGamer is back with another video of World of Warships. And today, I'm going to be taking a look at the best legendary mod upgrades, or you can say unique upgrades for your favorite ships out there. And if you're looking to consider buying them out there from the Research Bureau points, which I will show you quickly. So here they are. There are quite a lot of unique upgrades, but if you want to know that which are the best of them, I will be explaining that in the video, because there are a lot of them and they are costing quite a bit of research points. Like for example, if you are trying to regrind one line with a 2 times bonus, then you will actually only able to get a single unique upgrade, and regular regrinds only gonna give you 10,000 research points, so you have to regrind your line 2 times. So it's actually very expensive. It's not gonna be like easy to get. So what are those upgrades that you should get? I will be explaining that. So the first best unique upgrade in my personal opinion is going to be the Colombo. Cristoforo Colombo, they have actually buffed the ship with the legendary mod, simply because if you use the improved range finders, well, you might be losing out a bit of a main battery reload time, which is like minus 6%. Like if you can see here, the main battery mod 3 gives the reload time better like 12%, but then once you use this, you're only going to get slight nerf of the reload time, but you get 2 things in return. First, the dispersion. Your dispersion will going to get improved because it just straight up gives maximum main battery shell dispersion by minus 6%. And that is huge because Colombo has 16 guns. And that, worse reload time does not really matter, because if the shells and the grouping of the shells will be a lot much more tighter because of the tighter dispersion ellipse itself, the Colombo suddenly starts to do super chunk volleys on any ship out there. And I mean, sap does hurt a lot. Like even on the angled ship, you can just chunk them for like crazy damage. And this thing is a game changer for Colombo. They have recently buffed the Colombo to 1.6 Sigma as well. So that would help a lot with the dispersion, as well as the main battery mod 3 problem is that it also gives the con of getting main battery traverse speed by minus 13%, which you will not going to find on the improved rangefinder upgrade on the Colombo. So that is straight up making Colombo extremely powerful. I mean, anyone who have played the Colombo, he knows that it could be pretty frustrating if the dispersion gets trolley, because these sap does hurt. You have 12k sap damage, almost more than 12k. And it will absolutely wreck ships because the armor penetration is almost 100 millimeter. So you can just able to obliterate targets if you get a lot of shells. And if you have 16 shells, it really, what really matters if you get the tighter dispersion. And this literally buffs the Colombo to that level. And hence the reason why I would kind of say that it is sort of getting better than Loria, simply because you have the exhaust smoke generator. And just like Loria, you have a spotting aircraft, so you are not losing anything either except for the overmatch. But then if you throw so many stuff on the wall, something's gonna hit. And in the case of Loria, obviously it has only 8 shells, but you have double of the shells than Loria, so that really makes a huge difference. So Colombo also have, I think, slightly better HP maybe, but I think it does not really matter. What really matters is these guns get a huge buff because of the legendary mod. So definitely I would say it's an S tier sort of upgrade if you are looking to get Colombo's legendary mod. Let's talk about the next best legendary mod. Another really good legendary mod is going to be the German tier 10 destroyer. I would say a heavy destroyer, Elbing. Now Elbing gets the legendary mod or unique upgrade at the slot 6, just like on the Colombo. And it kind of similarly feels like Colombo, except the fact that you are getting the buff of engine boost. Now, Elbing never used to have the engine boost, right? But then they have given the engine boost to Elbing, which really makes it a bit more comfortable in speed, juking shells as well as dodging some torpedoes. But the fact is now that if you use this upgrade, you will be able to get the maximum speed of plus 20%. So it's just gonna give Elbing insane speed. Now the speed of the Elbing is not that bad, but considering if you use the flag, it can get up to 38 knots. So now over 38 knots, you can just get like what? Maybe 6 point something knots of speed, which is really nice. You can get up to like 44 knots of speed, 45 knots of speed on Elbing, which is really nice. And on top of that, you're also not gonna have the problem of the main battery traverse speed. Now, the main battery traverse speed is actually a bit worse than a lot of other destroyers, like 20.7. So once you use this legendary mod, you are also going to get a huge buff of main battery traverse speed by 100%, which means that it will gonna go down to half of the turn time, which means that these turrets will turn like a dime. Within like 10 seconds, you will have the turrets 180-degree turn to the right, either to the left, wherever you want to just shoot at, which just makes Elbing amazing. Now, the only con of the Elbing is that they have given the main battery reload time to -6%, which is like slightly worse than the main battery mod 3, but you're getting so much in return that Elbing feels like a straight up buff with the legendary mod. So I think this is kind of a no-brainer. Colombo is like crazy because the dispersion gets so good, but Elbing feels like so comfortable when you're trying to play it open water, as well as if you're trying to just turn here and there, trying to get the guns to the right or the left because of the traverse speed improvement. So I think this is a no-brainer, and it really makes Elbing so much fun. It's already really strong with its accuracy and the guns, but the legendary mod makes it a lot better. Very, very comfortable in open waters. Your speed juking capabilities are now pretty much on to the top of the notch. So I think this is definitely a good legendary upgrade. Alright, so another unique upgrade that I will highly recommend is going to be on the Russian heavy cruiser, large cruiser, whatever you call it. It's the Petropavlovsk. It's the AP Pavlovsk, whatever you call it. The guns are the star of the show for the Petro, but the legendary mod makes these guns even better. Now, the only problem with the Petro is that at long ranges, the dispersion gets poorer, but at short ranges, it gets better. But you can apply this legendary mod, which not only improves the main battery AP shell damage by plus 10%, it also improves the maximum main battery shell dispersion by minus 10%. Now that is huge, okay? Petro has really tight dispersion at around 12 to 13 kilometer, but with this legendary mod upgrade, you can get the tighter dispersion even at 13 or 14 kilometers, slightly beyond 15 kilometer, and then it start to get a bit worse, okay? So this is amazing. Now, obviously there is a trade-off, which is the number of ship consumables are going to be -1. So if you have, let's say, 3 radars or 3 heals, you will be having 2 radar or 2 heal or 2 defensive AFI. It's going to be 1 less consumable. But here's the funny part. If you have the Nikolai Kuznetsov, absolutely recommend it. I would say if you have this captain, do not put it on Kremlin, do not put it on Nevsky, because the Petro guns are amazing. The survivability is so good that the Nikolai Kuznetsov give it super value. And now the only reason why I would also say that Nikolai Kuznetsov is amazing is because if you get the first blood achievement, you're going to get the number of ship consumables by +1, negating the problem that the legendary mod gives to Petro. So if you are losing consumables, suddenly your first blood achievement will give those consumable backs, which is great. Like you're not gonna be losing anything, except you're just going to get straight up buff with the AP alpha damage, which you can clearly see. You can get it up to like 7.3k alpha. Also, the fact is that even if you don't get first blood, you have the what do you call it? Will for victory event, or not will for victory event. It's like talent, and that talent increases the HP as well once you are below 10% ship HP. And also, you extra get the damage control, which is crazy. So this is like, this legendary mod and the Nikolai Kuznetsov is so much tailor-made, or I would say suited to the Petro, that it just makes it amazing. Absolutely worth it. If you have any opportunity to get this legendary mod, highly recommended. This is gonna make guns even more absurd at close ranges. Okay, so let's talk about the Yamato, the big old fat boy in World of Warships. I'm sure the guns of the Yamato are still very relevant, and also the legendary mod of Yamato is even more relevant. So if you're able to get the legendary mod, which is main battery director system, it does the same thing, except the fact that it will completely remove the main battery reload upgrade, and you will be getting 7% main battery shell dispersion. Now that is actually slightly better than Colombo's -6%, but again, you're losing completely the main battery reload buff, okay, as well as the main battery traverse speed also going to be similarly nerfed as when you are using the main battery mod 3. Okay, so both having the same sort of characteristics in terms of main battery traverse speed by -13%, but at least you're getting the improved shell dispersion. Now, in the case of Yamato, you have 9 guns, and you have this amazing overmatch capability and amazing penetration at long ranges. So what really gives Yamato more benefit is going to be the dispersion buff, rather than getting a bit better reload time. I mean, someone can argue that a reload time is a lot better because of the better DPM overall. But again, if you're really looking to get the broadsides of cruisers or battleships out there because of the very good pen of Yamato at long ranges, you're gonna have a more better chance in getting citadels. And this is only possible if you are getting the dispersion buff improvement over Yamato. And I think this is the reason why main battery director system is gonna help a lot. And it really works well, considering it has a bit poorer vertical dispersion. But even then, you have 2.1 sigma. Okay, it's way better than Colombo's 1.6, and this legendary mod is also kind of a buff. I mean, it could be said that it is sort of a side grade, but it's kind of not, because you're gonna get more dev strikes and citadels with this tighter dispersion. So that is my opinion. I believe that the Yamato legendary mod is worth it. But maybe you should consider Petro or maybe the Colombo first. But then, if you have gotten those legendary mods, then you should also try this Yamato. I mean, that dispersion improvement will be get a lot much more consistent, especially if you use the spotting aircraft. Now, why am I saying that the spotting aircraft will improve the Yamato dispersion? Well, I have made a video about it, that if you are increasing the range of the battleships or any ships in the game, you're slightly going to get vertical dispersion improvement. But I think this is for another video. If you don't know that the spotting aircraft or the range mod upgrade improves the vertical dispersion of any ship out there in the game, hence improving the guns getting those citadels. But anyways, you're getting this horizontal and vertical main battery dispersion improvement by -7%. Also is the case for the Colombo. So it's definitely, in my opinion, is pretty good and worth it. Alright, so another legendary mod or unique upgrade that I would highly recommend, and it is definitely worth it, is going to be the Gouden Leeuw, which is a Dutch heavy cruiser. Now this legendary mod is also kinda nuts. I would say it's probably the most ridiculous sort of legendary mod that they have added for this cruiser. Now the reason why is pretty simple. Not only that you're going to get the extra airstrike armament if you are losing out the main battery mod 3, you're getting airstrike flights, which is +1. You have already 2 air attack flights, okay, and your reload time might also be not the best at 85 seconds. Well, it's gonna be improving the characteristics of the airstrike, which is the uniqueness of this whole Dutch heavy cruiser line. Okay, your airstrike is the complete gimmick and the star of the show, and you are just emphasizing over the guns or anything else is, I would say, a better thing, because now you will be having 3 attack flights, okay, with the reload time at around like 60-ish seconds, which means that every single minute you will be loading up the flight that can just obliterate targets, especially the Conquerors and Republics, the British battleships or the French battleships, or even some of the cruisers will take a lot of those bombs very quickly, because you can just straight up utilize 3 flights at once. Like literally, they are also insane fire starter at 39%. I mean, this legendary mod really emphasizes on the airstrikes, and if you are really a big fan of that, it will just gonna improve the capabilities and make their life worse if they are behind the islands, for example, because you're just gonna have a lot of airstrike flights, okay? One more thing about the Gouden Leeuw is that if there is someone that is far away and you're trying to pushing in and have utilized all those airstrike flights, now you have 3 flights, okay? So once you have loaded 2 of them, in the normal case, okay, not using legendary mod, then obviously you're just gonna be wasting a bit of a time because you're not gonna be dropping on anything. But then you have now the extra attack flight, which means that you will always going to have 3 ready once they quickly load up, which is gonna be around 1 minute. It's better than 85 seconds, so it definitely makes Gouden Leeuw legendary mod sort of a straight up upgrade. Okay, its gunpowder capabilities might be not the best. I mean, it's not that bad. It's 283mm guns. You can overmatch 16mm armor. The cruisers like Minotaur, you can overmatch Smolensk, Colbert. You can surely do that, and that DPM, you know, 1 versus 1 could be a problem, but then you are still gonna have the opportunity to use these bombs if you utilize it correctly, making Gouden Leeuw one of the really strong cruisers, at least really powerful once you use the legendary mod, and definitely worth it on that ship. Honestly, guys, if you're missing out on that, you're missing out the power of these, you know, these airstrike capabilities, man. They are so much powerful with 3 strikes. And with the upcoming commander, that's probably gonna give an extra airstrike, but I think that unique commander is gonna be the topic for later. I will just gonna end the Gouden Leeuw and we'll talk about the next ship for our best unique upgrade. Another really good upgrade, the legendary mod upgrade or the unique upgrade, is going to be Des Moines. Now Des Moines is kind of more focused around island hugging and radaring those DDs around the caps, and trying to utilizing the front of the guns and trying to take on 1 versus 1 against cruisers, because it is pretty insane in its DPM power, having really good reload time at 4.8 seconds with the reload mod. But instead of just getting the reload mod, which is main battery mod 3, you have to sacrifice that for the enhanced propulsion plant, which not only improves the rudder shift time by minus 20%, hence turning Des Moines pretty better, I would say, than normal upgrade. It's also gonna improve the acceleration by minus 50%. So it's kind of like a acceleration mod at the 6th slot. Like you have the propulsion mod 1, which also improves the engine power. Means you're gonna be having a faster acceleration, reducing the time to get to the full speed by minus 50%. But then you are getting another acceleration powered by minus 50%. Which just, I'm not going to say it's going to make Des Moines suddenly a Ferrari, but it's definitely going to be pretty decent. It's going to able to speed juke a lot of battleship shells if you start to accelerate on time exactly when they shot the guns, okay? So the Des Moines will also able to utilize the hugging islands, hugging positions, and just making his life a lot much more easier by just able to re-engage and disengage from the islands as cover. And also speed juking in open water would be a lot much more easier in Des Moines with the legendary mod. I mean, if you try out the legendary mod, maybe try to find out the gameplays. I might be able to buy it myself and I get the legendary mod for Des Moines. I can show you the gameplay, but it is definitely very, very good. You will actually able to see that how many shells you will be able to speed juke just from the acceleration alone if you get the legendary mod. So Des Moines will get a lot of value. The trade-off is a reload mod, but again the base reload of the Des Moines is already 5.5 seconds, which is, I would say, is pretty decent. And the range is good enough, so even though if you are using the range mod, you have to sacrifice that. But I would say the acceleration, the extra acceleration on Des Moines is really worth it. You can able to just even speed juke the torpedoes from the destroyers, even though you might be having a hydro, but it does help a lot. You will have extra time to be able to speed juke, or I would say turn to dodge the torpedoes. So that is definitely a very, very handy unique upgrade for Des Moines, making it a bit more better in open waters as well as taking covers. I guess that's it for my side. From my side, I would say these legendary mods are pretty good. Maybe there might be a couple of ones. For example, I would say it's an honorable mention. This Vermont legendary upgrade is pretty nice. I mean, you can have if I can show you quickly, the improved electrical system upgrade, which you can utilize on Vermont, which actually will trade off the concealment, but you're gonna get you're simply going to get a better reload time, as well as some AA power boost, as well as some, again, some marine power. It's a weird upgrade. I mean, your concealment on Vermont is very impressive. I haven't built Vermont for concealment, but it can get down to like 12.6, 12.7 kilometer. And considering it's one of the slowest battleship in the game, you might need that concealment more than getting the main battery reload time improvement of minus 10% on a 5th slot. Obviously, I mean, you're never gonna be trading out the artillery plotting room mod 2 because that is a dispersion improvement on 1.95 sigma in Vermont. You don't want to do that, and that's why Wargaming decided to just make it sure that you might only able to just lose out on concealment and getting some buffs in return. So this is a bit of a trade-off. Some veteran players with division might get this a lot in terms of value, but some players will definitely going to suffer a lot if they have mispositioned, because if you are permanently spotted and getting farmed by light cruisers or cruisers in general, you're going to be having really bad concealment, okay? I mean, without legendary mod, you're going to be having almost a similar concealment like Montana. So if you can afford that on a speed of, like what, 24.2 knots? I mean, even if you have the brisk skill on your captain, which I haven't, you can get it up to like 26 knots. So that is definitely a bit weird sort of upgrade. I mean, I can't say it's like a side grade. It just adds something, but it takes out something as well. So for me, I think it's an interesting upgrade. I mean, you can utilize sometimes this upgrade, legendary mod. Sometimes you might want to get back to the concealment. So it's still a unique upgrade regardless, and I would say it's sort of decent, but totally depend upon the player style of the players. If you are long range Vermont style of player, maybe this legendary mod might be good for you. But if you are playing more pushy like gameplay, you want to play aggressive, I think this Vermont's legendary mod would be a bit difficult sometimes to manage. So definitely that's one more thing in this plate. So I will end the video, and please let me know, guys, what do you really think about the legendary mods? What are you applying on your current ships at the moment? Please let me know in the comments. I will try to maybe help you guys even more in the comment section, that why you should get the legendary mod, why you should not. Maybe I have done a mistake. I'm really sorry. You can always, give me an explanation down in the comments that you have done this wrong, because I am a human. I am a player of World of Warships. Maybe I'm a veteran, but I can do mistakes, and I always apologize. It is entirely possible that I have messed up somewhere, but there are some really good subscribers out there that can help me and ensure that we will be commenting in the section and can help other players to maybe rectify my mistake and helping the community altogether. So thank you guys for watching, and I will be catching you guys into the next video. Peace out.